It depends too, because it depends on how much Shanks knows. If Blackbeard tends to be this person that he has to be aware of, it's probably because of the connection to Davy and what Davy means to the final war. So it's like if Rox comes from that, he probably knows of Rox as well, due to just the history.
That's what I want to bring out too, like why Gabon said, like, be careful, because I think it was more for protected of wise of the people who are learning this information. Because we don't know how the world government treats this information, right? That's why Shanks responds, "It's fine, no one will believe it."
They all believed it mad hard.
This just says a lot about Shanks's motives moving forward. I don't know when he learned it. I don't know what he learned, but whatever Roger told him led him to a different path. And through that path, he went to the Holy Land. And then he learned whatever he learned there. It seems like every single moment of his life always has some hidden agenda he's trying to perform.
The Loki and Shanks conversation was another really interesting one. It shows that Shanks just like isn't a smoke demon like some of the other people out here are. Like Loki's like, yo, I just want revenge. I want to take this out. But Shanks like, yo, think about it. Who are you going after? You're just going to go out there and just try to take on the world government? What does that mean? What does that actually mean? Who actually did this? Who's the cause of what happened here? And Gabon out here like, yo, Shanks, chill out. Don't say this. Why are we, we're here now, right? Like I wasn't confused because I get it. But like, what are we doing, Gabon? Like, what are we, this dude, his dad's got Dami reversed live. He had to take him out. We're going to be like, hey, don't talk about Emu now. Like, what is that?
Right.
What was that, bro? Like Roger said not to do that. Like, shut up, bro. I don't know. It was just weird to me. I thought it was weird. It was weird to hear him say, like, it made sense, but I was just like, yo, I'm not trying to hear some, hey, keep that a secret right now. My dad's dead. The king of Elbaf is now dead because some guy up on high freaking controlled him. Like we're going to not get the information now? That's crazy. But yeah, I like that Shanks kind of gave Loki the singular focus, but it also had me a little confused because, yo, what you was doing all that time? Because what we know about Loki right now is that he has the hammer, he has the Ragnir fruit. Like you ain't just fly up there. Like we just highlighted that it was the king of the world that did this. You know where the king of the world probably sits. If you really on this type of time, like what?
I can't do that.
I'm not trying to knock him. I'm confused at what happened. You was out in sea for some time and you didn't get any closer to there. Maybe he was trying to find information, but he could have. He had the tools. But I did like Shanks kind of giving him that, like, yo, it's not time to fight kind of messaging there, which is pretty cool. Also, good to see Rox, man. I know it must have made Larry hype. I was hyped to see Rox. I turned the page. He was just there. I was like, bet.
I knew it was going to happen.
I wonder the way it was framed, though. I'm wondering if Shanks like knew that Rox had already done it, already gone up there at least. You know, like I was wondering if it was something that he knew Rox had done, and if it's something that Roger once like told him about or something. Maybe not with the way it was framed, but like we know what Rox's goals were. We know that Loki was inspired by him because of those goals, and for Shanks to frame it in that way, I thought that was pretty cool.
So you're questioning on how Shanks would probably know about Rox. We've been told through like Rosinante that they are told when they're children about the D-Clan and they're told about certain dangers of the world, but the D-Clan members were specific. I don't think that Rox would actually be told to future existing like Holy Knights based off of the fact that Emu doesn't want people to know his name. So because Rox was running rampant through the Holy Land, and he murked an admiral, I think that it kind of made him famous enough to where, like, if you're old enough to exist, like regular celestial dragons, not like the 20 family celestial dragons, then most likely you probably heard about Rox if they talked about it. And I don't know how much contact Shanks actually had with somebody that was lower than the Holy Knights, you know? That's just my opinion.
My mind was going to Roger, but you're right. Like, he did have some level of time up there with the Holy Knights, with the Celestial Dragons. It's possible that Rox's name was still ringing out at that time.
It depends on his father,
him up. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, would he be telling that story? He'd be telling it from the, I took Rox out. Mm-hmm. When you know what really happened.
It depends too, because it depends on how much Shanks knows. If Blackbeard tends to be this person that he has to be aware of, it's probably because of the connection to Davy and what Davy means to the final war. So it's like if Rox comes from that, he probably knows of Rox as well, due to just the history. But I think he would learn that from Garland somehow, some way. I think Garland trusted him just enough and wanted him to be on the same level as Shamrock. And I think Shamrock knows probably most of what's going on too, right? Like he definitely knows of Rox, in my opinion.
But yeah, I didn't have much more beyond that.
I do think Shanks knows about Rox because the same thing I'm talking about the research thing too. Like we found out, like even though this information is hidden or like by the world government, Rox was able to learn and figure out a lot. So there's a way to gather that information. And like I said, what I've shown here is that we saw Shanks does his research, and especially what he learned from Gabon and Ray, whatever. And then also too on the Roger ship, he learned a little bit about what behind the world, the history around the world through just being on the ship with Roger. So I think he knows at least who. Even if he didn't say Rox, I think he knows who Rox is and probably what happened though too. Because also too, it was probably explained to him what happened and why he was separated. Rox's involvement was a key reason of why he was separated from the Garling family. So I think that knowledge was given to him, and then plus all that surroundings. I think Shanks knows a lot. This made me raise questions too. Shanks' words here, like, no, Harald was my friend too. When it came down to, I would be right there with you. But we know the end of the situation, when it came down to it, either wasn't with Loki, but he anyway had to stop Loki for whatever he was doing. And I'm thinking, all right, maybe he recognized that Loki was like, yo, you didn't listen to me. You're about to get taken out. I'm going to stop you here and bring you back. So you listen to reason because we got it. We need you like to gather strength to take on this end opponent. But Loki's here saying that he never found a way to him. So now that we're up a bunch of questions, why actually did Shanks need to intervene? Because we know he's the one to do that. We see him step in to talk to Whitebeard. Like, no, this is too early for Shanks to take it on Thatch. He approached Whitebeard about it. And he stepped in to end the war. So Shanks meddles. So to me, I take it as Shanks is meddling again with Loki, but I want to know the reason why. Because you're telling Loki, I'll be right there with you. But now, obviously, he didn't take Loki out, but you stopped him. So I want to know what happened between them. Very interesting. And also, too, again, like you said, Loki, what were you doing? You were here for years. And I think the number was like, was it 6 years you're out there? 8 years? I think it was 8 years.
Like
I think it was 6 years.
6 years or something like that. Yeah. Out there doing it. And you never found the way to him.
6 years ago, Shanks defeated him, allegedly. So
it's 8 years there. I think
it was 8 years.
Or is it 6 years ago that Shanks became a Yonko? I don't know which. It's one of the two. Either way, I wonder if he got more information on it and Shanks was like, yo, I got to put him down because he's gonna go up there. You know what I mean?
Maybe too early. It could be that too, because that's what I want to bring out too, like why Gabon said, like, be careful, because I think it was more for protected of wise of the people who were learning this information. Because we don't know how the world government treats this information, right? That's why Shanks responds, it's fine, no one will believe it.
They all believed it mad hard. Like not a single person doubted him.
I'm not talking about like, I mean, like, I don't think Gabon means like these people here. I think he means like in general. Say like people like, for example, we all see what O'Hara, to learn this information, you got to be able to protect yourself with the information you just learned.
They said this. There was other random giants here.
Yeah,
like there was a what? How many people did Loki end up leaving with?
I'm thinking like Elbaf is so separated away from the world government. I'm thinking like lower end people. If it gets out, you're going to see a lot of people passing off this knowledge, because if you have this knowledge, you got to have a way to protect yourself and your loved ones from having this knowledge, because you'll end up like O'Hara if you don't, you know? So I think that's what Gabon was worried about. Was like, yo, careful, because if too many people will learn this, we're getting more O'Haras here.
Fair.
Right. I think Gabon was cautioning, like, yo, careful, Shanks. But I think it's like, and it's no one believe it, you know? And that's why they're, because at first you said they believe it right away. They pushed back first a little bit, though, Sebastian. The only one who believed it right away was Loki. But then it's like Loki's going to go about it a foolish way, you know?
A lot of belief, man.
Yeah.
A lot of not doubt.
Yeah. And like you said, like thinking about Rox, showing that, because the statement too was like, the king's power is impossible to measure. It makes me also think how, because we all know the reason why, kind of like learning. Shanks went to the Mary Jo for a reason, right? And it was, again, like I said, to gather information. Who's this person? To learn about Emu's power, all this stuff. That's why he joined the Knights, to understand the gravity of it, right? And when he got there, like, how close did you get to Emu? And did you go there? Then you like sense it was like, yo, it's impossible to measure this dude's strength. Like, this guy could do anything. Is that what Shanks learned here? So I want to know, like, this is what he learned on Elbaf. Like that time there, he spent a year there doing something, And I wonder if this is the recon he learned.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Shock. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm shining so bright, so bright. Don't come and try to share some of this light now. Give me a beat and I control it like a maestro. Ladies on a mission, they be trying to get me wiped up. Shawty, wait a minute, can't tell if I like ya. Gotta make sure you know how to shake it like a bartender. Team with me and they all winners. And you know we ballin' all winner.
I think this speech that Shanks gave to Loki is the very same message he gave Kaido when Kaido and King were on their way to Marineford. At the time, Shanks intercepted them and prevented Kaido from interfering in that war. And we all know that. We always threw it up to like Absnith or something of that nature. But considering like Kaido's obsession with starting the greatest war the world has ever seen and dying a glorious death, I can absolutely see Shanks telling him now wasn't the time, that an even greater war was coming. And that's ultimately why Kaido waited. And that why there was no bruises on like Shanks or Kaido either after their fight, because I'm pretty sure they clashed. Every Yonko has clashed between each other. So I think after that, Shanks had told him. This just says a lot about Shanks's motives moving forward. I don't know when he learned it. I don't know what he learned, but whatever Roger told him led him to a different path. And through that path, he went to the Holy Land. And then he learned whatever he learned there. It seems like every single moment of his life always has some hidden agenda he's trying to perform. And that's where, like, when Sebastian was mentioning rocks and yada yada, like Shanks probably knowing, I feel like he has to know these things. Mm-hmm. At this point, this might be the reason as to why Shanks is so fixated on Luffy and Blackbeard and Loki. He knows that these are going to be prominent figures who necessarily hold the key in order to sway the world into either the dawn or the dusk. And it makes it so much more important now, Shanks's motives for literally doing everything, like even going after the One Piece. There's a reason now as to why he didn't go for it. And the only reason he started was because of Luffy. And Luffy's going to lead this great war against Emu. So it's like all these pieces are now starting to fall because he already knew things were too early still. And that means a lot to Shanks and his character now. And I think Oda's writing him in a way where we're going to look back and appreciate Shanks so much more than we already do, because the narration is just going to carry him completely. I just don't know how he's going to end, because like Sebastian, I do think he's going to get taken out at some point. I just don't know what that's going to mean for the story when it does happen, or how it's supposed to happen. So Shanks being this centerpiece and just behind the scenes, making sure everything goes to the way prophecy, I guess, is supposed to lead everybody, just seems like such a huge weight for him to hold. I think I'm starting to think like maybe Shanks's goal might be one of the hardest goals in One Piece. And I think we're going to have a talk about that when we fully realize what the goal is. Because this seems to be like the world itself and not just something, you know what I'm saying?
Tashiki goal just got way harder. That's all I'll say. It got much harder, bro.
So I'm going to glaze a little bit, and I apologize. I know it's going to sound like glaze. All right. So when Shanks mentioned the King of the World and like, you don't know how deep the mysteries go and you don't know what type of power you need and et cetera, et cetera. Like if you go there, you're going to mess up. Like you're just going to lose. And then Loki, at the time after he beats Harald, he has the Devil Fruit and he has Ragnar. And then he thinks of Rocks. I looked up to that as Rocks is his idol. He wants to be like Rocks. He wants to achieve what Rocks has achieved to some degree. But I also looked at it as like Loki also thinking Rocks was that strong and he still failed. So when he looks at himself, he kind of thinks to himself, if I'm not on Rocks' level and I go there, I'm probably going to fail too. Like he doesn't know if he's greater or not than Rocks at this point, which in my opinion, he's not. So it's like, I want to glaze Rocks a little bit because that's my guy. And I think that kind of like falls in line. But listen, I understand it's glaze. I'm glazing that donut. I didn't mean it that way.
No, I think it's a dope. I like the framing of it. You know what I mean? Whether I agree or not, I like the framing of it in Loki's mind being that way. That would be pretty cool. So
The other thing I want to speak on is what Lauren spoke on. Lauren said something about Shanks and Gabon saying to like be careful. I mentioned this on my reaction. It's kind of like when Rayleigh told Robin if they wanted to learn the truth of the world. Basically, Rayleigh was like, if you learn the truth of the world, I would rather you discover it on your own so you could come up with your own interpretation of what to do. And I feel like that also applies to knowing about Emu and the King of the World. So, for example, if the One Piece contains this truth, and I was to give you the middle section of whatever this truth was, and I took it out of context and I just gave it to you, you're going to formulate an opinion that's going to be incorrect. We saw that with Vegapunk. Vegapunk told the world, yo, the world is sinking, brodies. What are you going to do, basically? This is why it happened. This is who's behind it. This is not man. This is not natural, etc., etc. And what did the world do? They didn't hear the D-Clan part. So it was taken out of context completely. And then the world either laughed, got scared, started to scrounge. Also, people didn't care. There was like this huge interpretation of people making their own choices on what it was that they heard. I feel like that's also happening here. Because if Vegapunk just said very little information and just said, oh, the world is sinking, and didn't say anything else, you would kind of like freak out. You would kind of like do whatever, and the world would just be attacking each other. I feel like that's what's happening with Gabon telling Shanks to be careful. Because if you do just speak on, yo, the King of the World is this, and that's it, you're not going to know exactly like what's going to happen after that for everybody knowing there's a King of the World. There needs to be more information put together for us to fully like comprehend why there's a King of the World and why it was needed at the time. And then this is how the power corrupted them over time, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you guys watched the Hunger Games. All right, so basically, Lawrence, there was this guy who did the Hunger Games, and the Hunger Games was basically two people who are between the ages of 12 to like 18 or something like that, and he makes them fight to death. And there's like 12 districts. So there's like 24 people who fight in the Hunger Games, and it just quells all war and violence. So he just has kids murder themselves. So there were people who led a rebellion against this guy. And then it turns out that the person who was leading the rebellion also wanted to do Hunger Games too. So it's like you're going to have one guy who's the King of the World, and then you're going to replace them with somebody else. And therefore they're going to be as equally or just as bad. So it's like, that's why I think Shanks is saying, okay, if you attack the world government, who are you attacking? And then he goes, oh, I'm going to attack, the world government, but that's not the guy who's doing it, right? Like those people are just following orders. So if you murk them, you're technically murking civilians who have nothing to do with this. They're benefiting from it, of course, but there's still people who have to live by the system. So even though they're at fault and guilty, it's kind of like they're forced to uphold that, or unless they lose their lives. You know what I'm saying? So if I take the king out, who's going to replace that person? And I think that's the problem with the Revolutionary and Dragon, is that because Dragon hasn't been on panel and hasn't moved, we don't know what's going to happen if Dragon succeeds. And I think that's the huge issue that Gabon and Rayleigh also had. Is like, we can move, we can decide to do things, but if we do it and we succeed, will it be for naught? And I think that's the issue of why he's saying careful, Shanks. But that's just me. That's just me like thinking like this is what it is.
My thought was Shanks, if he does know enough, it would be that he knows that Loki's needed for the end war. Yeah. And if he goes up there and gets clipped beforehand,
right,
then what was it for? Now we're missing the giant dragon on the mural that we needed. I know you said you had more. So.
I would say that the only thing, last thing I'll mention, I think that's also why Loki never found the Holy Land. I think he might have gotten too close, and Shanks heard about it. And as soon as he heard that he was too close, he literally went to Loki. Because why would he go to Loki after 6 years? 8. Why would he go to Loki after 8 years? Like, he's on the seas. He knows that Loki's attacking like world government ships in the mist. Like, that's what Loki was doing. He was trying to gain the attention of whoever was in control of this world government ships. So he's like, yo, do your thing.
Bro. You about to hate me, bro. You about to hate me so much, bro. Maybe Loki found a man marked by flames, and Shanks was like, yo, chill.
I hate you, bro.
I'm just saying. What would be the reason why? Like, what would be the reason? Something would have to have happened for him to switch up and be like, you're too close to it now. You're too close to getting to where you need to be.
Did we get a time frame? Did we get a time frame when? Because I think when you guys brought up before, it could have been over the fruit that Luffy ate. That Loki's targeting these things, and then Loki was about to, to attack and take on the Nika fruit. Shanks found out, and then it pretty much stopped Loki for that because he wanted the fruit.
Yeah.
I think it's also deeper than that, in all honesty.
Yeah. Well, it had to be 12
years. What if the man marked by flames is just Shanks? I'm done.
Who?
I'm done. It's Shanks.
You're ruining the pod.
I'm ruining it.
You're ruining the pod, bro.
Yo, think about what y'all just said. If there was a dude trying to prevent people from doing stuff too early, I'm gonna chill out. I'm gonna shut up because I don't even believe it. But
it is crazy though that Shanks just was like, all right, it's your time to get packed up. Like straight up. He was like, yo, it's time to get packed up. So it's crazy too. It's like I keep telling people, right? Is that Shanks and Blackbeard fought so long ago, more than 12 plus years ago, okay? Before he had the Shallows Covenant. I think Loki's stronger than Shanks in the flashback after he beat Harald. Like, I think he's stronger than Shanks right then and there. It just proves that Shanks, literally 8 years later, got so much stronger than Loki that he was able to take him out and defeat him and bring him all the way back to Elbaf. So when we talk about like Shanks' strength in comparison to like Blackbeard's, you can say that wherever Blackbeard was and Shanks was during that time, Blackbeard was able to hurt him, but there's no way you could think that they're ever on the same level when Blackbeard is fighting Ace or Blackbeard is fighting Magellan. It's astronomical differences between the opponents that they have fought. And think about this too. This was Shanks literally 6 years ago that he defeated him. So Shanks had another 6 years after that to get even stronger. So when you compare Shanks and you compare Blackbeard in strength, even now, it's hard to imagine that Blackbeard could even compete with him, because then you would have to put in your mind, can Blackbeard defeat Loki 6 years ago? And if you can't say that confidently that he can, or then he just doesn't amount to Shanks. And if you say that he could, then you got to add 6 years on top of that, Shanks getting stronger than he was then.
Well, you're saying Blackbeard 6 years ago versus Loki 6 years ago?
No.
Or
Maybe I'm saying
now?
wrong. No, yeah. I'm saying Loki 6 years ago, right, was defeated by Shanks. If Blackbeard right now fought Loki 6 years ago, would he win or not? And if he does, then that means he has to fight a Shanks who has 6 years more of a difference of strength now.
Okay.
Blackbeard was out here taking shots from Luffy 2 years ago. So let alone 6 years, 2 years ago, right? When he fought Ace, but also was getting dropped and bleeding, yelling on pain from pre-time skip Luffy. Luffy speed blitzed him and cracked him.
Yeah, it's like, again, I know people are going to go back to like Shanks talking to Whitebeard and being like, hey, I wasn't holding back or I wasn't caught off guard when I got scarred. But again, it's literally 12 plus years ago, and that no longer matters. Right now, that no longer matters. So
yeah, exactly.
If you can't see that, then you have to keep reading and like dissecting.